Boxing experts have just abandoned Jake Paul, and the YouTuber turned boxer is flipping out. Yeah, Paul got the knockout win against Mike Perry over the weekend, and it was a pretty impressive one at that. But hold up, don't pop the champagne just yet. Instead of everyone kissing his feet, the boxing world seems to be turning on him even more. The problem child once had the boxing world buzzing, but it seems the tides are turning. The golden boy of YouTube is now facing a growing chorus of critics, even from those once in his corner. Let's dive into the drama and see why the top boxing experts are abandoning the ship.
That was a farce. That was ridiculous. That fight should have never even taken place in the first place because it was a shit show. Jake Paul was by far the bigger guy, and as I said, there's weight classes for a reason. Now, okay.
All right, so Jake Paul knocked out Mike Perry. Big deal. Don't get me wrong, a knockout is a knockout, but let's break this down. Boxing pros and pundits are far from impressed. Instead of showering him with praise, the experts are piling on the criticism. The boxing world was expecting more from this kid. Where was the finesse? The footwork? The boxing IQ? All we saw was raw power. It's like watching a truck roll over a tricycle. Perry didn't stand a chance, but that's not exactly a testament to Paul's boxing skills. It's more like a mismatch made in heaven for Paul. Perry, despite his heart, was simply outmatched. The size difference was obvious, and Paul's power was too much for him to handle. But let's be real. This wasn't a showcase of boxing skill. It was a mismatch. Another cherry-picked opponent for Paul's highlight reel. It's starting to feel like Paul is fighting opponents he knows he can dominate, rather than actually testing himself against seasoned professionals, and the fight world is catching on.
But I just believe in my power so much. I put him down in the first round, but he just kept coming. So respect to Mike Perry. That's why he's the king of violence, former king of violence. I'm the new king of violence.
On the other hand, Jake Paul's ego is skyrocketing. Sure, he floored Perry, but that doesn't make him untouchable. He's calling out everyone from Alex Pereira to Canelo Alvarez like he's got something to prove. Now, before we move forward with why the boxing community is abandoning Jake Paul, it's important to get into the nitty-gritty of this fight. All right, let's break down the fight. Jake Paul stopped Mike Perry in the 6th round. Yeah, Paul looked good, landing some heavy shots and dropping Perry a few times. But let's be honest, Perry looked completely out of his depth. It was like watching a fish try to ride a bike. Paul's boxing experience, or lack thereof, was the only real difference between the two fighters. Perry couldn't handle the pace, couldn't land any meaningful punches, and eventually got overwhelmed. It was a mismatch from start to finish where Paul dropped Perry 3 times en route to the victory. Now, Jake Paul got the W, but don't let that fool you. The boxing world is not happy. In fact, they're downright pissed. It's like everyone and their grandma is calling Jake out for this latest circus act. Joe Rogan, Oscar De La Hoya, Floyd Mayweather, even Alex Pereira. They're all piling on. It's like a boxing Hall of Fame diss track. Picking Mike Perry? That's like shooting fish in a barrel with a bazooka. It's obvious that Paul's team is carefully selecting opponents who pose zero threat. It's starting to feel like a scripted reality show, not a real fight. Floyd Mayweather said it best, he's a businessman, not a fighter, and Oscar De La Hoya wasn't shy about sharing his thoughts either, calling Paul a clown and a disgrace to the sport. Even Alex Pereira, a guy known for his quiet demeanor, threw a jab at Paul, saying he lacks the fundamentals of boxing. It's clear that the boxing pros and pundits are tired of Paul's antics. They want to see real fights, not glorified sparring sessions. Jake Paul is becoming the villain of the boxing world, and it's hard to argue that he's earned that title. But wait, there's more. The drama doesn't end with the post-fight trash talk. The boxing world is starting to connect the dots on Jake Paul's carefully crafted career. It's not just about picking easy opponents, it's about controlling the entire narrative. We're talking about a masterclass in manipulation here. This guy doesn't just choose opponents who are past their prime or have no boxing experience. He also goes out of his way to create fight conditions that guarantee his success. We've seen it time and time again. Ridiculous weight classes, questionable rules, and even the choice of venue. It's like he's playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. And he's winning. The boxing pundits are starting to call him out on it. They're saying that Paul is more interested in creating viral moments than in proving himself as a boxer. It's a sad state of affairs when a guy can build a career on gimmicks and illusions. Now let's move on and talk about the elephant in the room, the weight difference. Jake Paul is a big dude. We're talking well over 200 pounds. And guess what? He insisted that Mike Perry meet him there. Perry's natural weight class is nowhere near that. So what do you think happened? Perry was gassed before the first round even ended. He was slower, weaker, and completely outmatched. This wasn't just a fight, it was a strategic dismantling.
But the reality was, he was too small. There is weight classes in boxing, in combat sports, for a reason. And it was only until the fight started that I saw them both with their shirts off and just the gloves and the shoes on, and the shorts, that I realized just the discrepancy in the size.
Paul played his cards right. He knew exactly what he was doing. This wasn't just about picking an easy opponent. It was about creating an uneven playing field. The boxing world is starting to see through the smoke and mirrors. This isn't boxing, it's a carefully orchestrated performance. Get this, it's like Paul is running the boxing world like a complex video game. He's setting the rules, choosing the levels, and exploiting every glitch in the system. While it might be entertaining for some, the rest of the boxing community is starting to get tired of watching this one-sided game. All right, let's talk about the expectations for this fight. Everyone was hyped, right? We were expecting fireworks, drama, and maybe even a little blood. This fight was supposed to be a turning point for Jake Paul, a chance to prove he was more than just a social media star. But instead, it solidified the narrative that he's carefully crafting his career. And the boxing world is not impressed. From seasoned veterans to casual fans, everyone is asking the same question. When is Jake Paul going to fight someone who can actually challenge him? Jake Paul is not taking this criticism well. He's lashing out, and it's been panic hour for him ever since. The kid who once seemed so confident is starting to crack under the pressure. He was expecting this fight to be his big breakthrough, to silence the haters once and for all. Instead, it's opened up a whole new can of worms. He's lashing out on social media, calling everyone and their mother haters and jealous. The reality is sinking in. His carefully constructed image is crumbling. He's exposed as a fighter who relies on gimmicks and mismatches rather than pure boxing skill. And the worst part? He's got the biggest fight of his career looming on the horizon. Without the support of the boxing world, he's walking into a lion's den. As Jake himself might put it, this is a war. But here's the thing, Jake Paul is in panic mode. The more he fights back, the more people are turning against him. It's a classic case of the boy who cried wolf. Every time he opens his mouth, he digs himself deeper into a hole. And with the biggest fight of his career on the horizon, the pressure is mounting. Can he turn it around? Or is this the beginning of the end for Jake Paul as a boxer?
It goes back to like people just like attacking Jake Paul and like wanting to see me fail.
Let's cut the crap. Jake Paul is good at one thing, putting on a show. He's a master of illusion, a magician who's fooled the world for far too long. Sure, he can sell tickets, but he can't box. He's all flash, no substance. Until he steps into the ring with a real fighter. Not some reality TV has been, we can't take him seriously. Jake Paul might be filling up arenas, but he's doing it with smoke and mirrors, not skill and heart. And now get ready for the craziest chapter yet. Jake Paul is actually fighting Mike Tyson. You heard that right. The problem child is set to step into the ring with Mike Tyson on November 15th at the AT&T Arena. Are you kidding me? The guy who struggles against YouTubers is facing the baddest man on the planet? This is either the bravest or dumbest move in boxing history. If he wins, it'll be the biggest upset since Rocky Balboa. But let's be real. Beating up a 60-year-old legend doesn't exactly earn you a gold medal. Jake's got to stop playing games and start playing for keeps. Look, the party's over, Jake. The whole boxing world has turned on you. What more do you need? This could be a career-defining moment, and the problem child is wasting it. Beating up retired athletes or guys way out of their weight class isn't going to cut it anymore. Jake needs to step up and fight someone who can actually challenge him. Now, if he thinks beating Mike Tyson is going to change everything, he's living in a fantasy world. Tyson is a legend, but he's also 60 years old. That's not a win, that's a publicity stunt. Paul needs to prove yourself against the best of the best, not the leftovers. The boxing community is watching, Jake. It's time to show them what you're really made of. So there you go, Fight World. That's all I have for you today. What do you think about the boxing expert's hot take on Jake Paul's win? Fill in the comment section with your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more boxing news. See you in the next video.